Hi, everybody. My name is Zeb Wellborn. I'm president of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. Today, I have Susan Wan Ross from the Yorba Chamber of Commerce. Susan, will you talk a little bit about how long you've been at your chamber?
I have been at the Yorba Chamber of Commerce for 8 years. Previous to that, I was at another smaller Chamber of Commerce. I've been in the industry for 11 or 12 years.
So I'm trying to interview folks. There's going to be a little mini series within my series about setting up a foundation. So one of the things I'm trying to do in our chamber is set up a foundation. So I want to pick your brain or pick the brains of people who have set up foundations. I also want to learn about some of the pitfalls. So you and I are attending the WACE conference in a couple of days. I'm going to be leading a session. You are one of the panelists. So I know we're going to be talking about this in a couple of days, but I also wanted to get this down on our YouTube channel so that I could document it for myself, but also can share some information about setting up a foundation and going from there. So with that, let's talk about your foundation. So you set up a foundation at the Yorba Chamber, and how long ago did you set it up?
We did this in 2018. Our intention was to be able to get actual donations. The biggest challenge that we had as a Chamber of Commerce is everybody was going around saying, "Oh, can you donate to the chamber?" And technically, without having a 501c3 tax status, we were collecting funds and items that were not tax deductible in the sense of being a charitable donation. So people don't understand that they were actually receiving marketing donations, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Marketing and
Okay.
promotions.
So you had a lot of businesses or your businesses mostly, they were saying, "Hey, is this a tax write-off?" And you're saying, "Nope, sorry, it's not." And so then they wanted to figure out how to do that.
Right. So it's technically a business write-off for the businesses if they're writing a check directly to the chamber. With us being able to get the 501c3, they're actually making a donation to a charitable foundation. So it's a tax deduction.
Got it. Got it. Cool. And so then my question for you is how many people came to you with that specific problem to the point where you're like, okay, let's really set this up?
Some of the bigger corporations and some of the other big entities that are out there, they have us fill out forms. And when it gets to the question of, are you a nonprofit? And we said, we're a not-for-profit. They said, oh, sorry, we can't give you any money. And we wanted to go for the bigger bucks. And so we're finding out that there's a lot of companies that will donate to nonprofits that as long as we have that 501c3 tax status versus the 501c6. So we're getting more money now, which is great. It's just making sure that we're following all the rules of being a nonprofit.
Yeah, okay. So you have those large businesses and you've identified those ones that they're ones that are going to give you funds. And then you've set up so that's the impetus to set this up. So walk me through setting up the 501c3 foundation. How did that get started?
So we looked, basically what we did was we raised funds for scholarships for high school students. And it was really easy for us to get the 501c3 because we were doing it for educational purposes for higher education. So we looked on the state website for nonprofits, and we fell under the educational category. Every category has a number to it. So we were able to file for that and we got it. So now we are the state sees us as a nonprofit that is raising funds for scholarships for students going to college or for higher education.
Okay, great. So then, so now you set it up for that purpose. Now that educational component. So this is purely for scholarships for kids, and that's what your foundation is set up to do. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Are you doing anything else with any of those funds, or is it purely scholarships for kids?
As long as it's a scholarship program for educational purposes, we're good. We have given scholarships to say like the Miss Yorba and Miss Placentia program because it's a scholarship program. As long as there's scholarship attached to it, we're doing just fine with being able to donate that, or not donate, but write the check
All
for
right,
those
cool.
programs.
And how easy was it to set up?
Well, We did legal Zoom, and I was very excited because I said, "Oh, easy peasy." We just did it online. We got our tax ID number and everything, and we thought that's it. And then a year or two later comes around and we're starting to get notices in the mail that we were supposed to be filing our taxes, but we had not made any money. So we did not know that we were needing to file our taxes. So it's our fault for not following up with our bookkeeper saying, oh, we have this new tax status for a new entity. So we actually have the tax exemption now. We've caught up on all the paperwork. It was just extra paperwork that we actually had to deal with, but I would recommend anybody who is actually planning on having a 501c3 to make sure that your bookkeeper and your tax person know that that's what you've done, so they stay on top of it too.
Cool. And then so with those notifications or letters, like, was that a big challenge? Was that like something that was like, oh my gosh, we're in big trouble, or was that just a little blip on the radar?
It's just a blip. We didn't make any money, so there were no fines or anything. It's just, they put a hold on your tax status until you clear that. 2020 was a rough year because everybody was dealing with so much as far as COVID relief grants and stuff. And we kind of forgot that we had the tax status with us, and it went in the back burner, and we had to play catch up on making sure that we were current on all our paperwork for the 501c3.
Mm-hmm. And then how much paperwork was it? Was it a lot? Was it
No, it's just basically filing, like a simple form, a couple different forms. You have to show your board of directors on paper. They want to see your incorporation letter. And I think we filed maybe 3 papers, and they're just forms. They tell you exactly what you need. And we did get help from our assemblyman's office because we wanted to push things through a little bit quicker and get answers, because as you know, sometimes going through the state, it takes a lot longer. So we actually reached out to the assemblyman's office, and they got our status done within 2 days.
awesome? Well, that's cool. So that's the key tip right there, right?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so now you've got it set up. You're raising funds through it, and right now you're raising funds. So it sounded like previously it's your large businesses that wouldn't invest in you previously, but now that you've got this 501c3 status, they are. Are you getting funds from any other sources or locations?
We are applying for grants through different government agencies to see if we can get some extra funding. We'd like to do more programs for the students, and that was one thing that we didn't have. That wasn't something that we were able to afford. So now with that potential, at least we can do a lot more. And then our board for the foundation is separate from the board of the chamber. So we're working with them, trying to pull out some more programs and get the word out, basically, because nobody really knows that we exist unless they hear about it.
Yeah. So then, okay. So you mentioned that that's another thing. You have different boards. So is it the same way as like a chamber board would run, that you're running the foundation board? Is it the
Yes.
exact same way?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
The one thing is you do have to carry D&O insurance, and you do with having a nonprofit, you definitely have to take really good minutes, because anytime you open up a bank account or you do anything legally, you actually have to show the minutes of the board meetings.
Yeah.
And I know some of the other nonprofits out there might not do such copious minutes, but we're pretty good about that. We record everything.
Okay. So how do you select the foundation board? Is that process the same way as you would a normal chamber board?
Pretty much.
How did you do it though? Who are the people that are on your foundation board?
So the foundation board, basically what ended up happening is we had a committee, and it was the education committee, and they were comprised of members from the chamber and from the board of directors on the chamber side. And so we had some people that were on the education committee that turned into board members for the foundation. And then we have a couple other members of the chamber that are members of the foundation.
Okay, and is there any rules to that? So I'm imagining that the numbers are probably different, right? Like,
Yeah.
so how many, like, is it, you just put in the paperwork and the bylaws that this is how many board members are, and you just kind of do it with who's ever at the table at the time?
Yeah, we've gone through two sets of bylaws. We had, the first set, we just drafted something really fast and quick just to get us going. And now we're going through an amendment just to make sure that we have it buttoned up pretty tight. So there's no question of who and what can happen.
Yeah, and then so on our end, is it difficult managing those two? So, normally I'm doing one board meeting a month. Was that a big transition for you to now running the foundation and running the chamber, or was it pretty
No,
seamless?
not so much. It's just like another committee meeting. The only thing is staffing. We don't have a staff for the foundation, so we had to create an MOU. So the chamber staff can facilitate and do some of the administrative things for the foundation. So the foundation will pay the chamber a certain amount each month for the administrative costs.
All right. And so what's the biggest lesson you've learned so far?
Probably not reporting what we were supposed to be reporting. It just seemed like it was really tedious in the very beginning. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so much paperwork. But when it comes down to it, if you just know exactly, if you're filing your taxes with the chamber, you might as well do it with the foundation. And it just never even occurred to me that, we can do it all at once. The only thing that we've decided to do is completely separate the financials and the taxes and not use the same services as the chamber.
Uh,
So the bank account will be in a completely separate bank, not so they don't even touch the parking lot.
right.
And our tax person is a completely different tax person. That way there's no confusion whatsoever. A lot of times, when you're working with service providers, they see a name and they just think it's all the same. And we were getting a lot of paperwork confused in the very beginning.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, Hold on a second. I had a question. I'm thinking of what it was. This is the good part about editing things
Yes.
later. Okay, so that last pointed topic. Oh, okay, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Okay. Yep.
So now that you've got this up and running, and then the tension was you felt like you're missing out on funds that you were receiving. So did you receive the funds you were anticipating? Has it been a lot? Is it substantial? I mean, how has that impacted what you do?
It's slowly coming in. We have a couple events that the chamber used to do, and those events were dedicated to raising funds for the scholarships. And now the foundation has taken it over, and we've actually gotten sponsors that we've never had before. So
Okay.
it's not tons of money, but it's significantly more than what we would have had.
Got it. And then, but the other thing is like you mentioned the administrative tasks, right? You've got to be running the funds and stuff. So you're collecting those funds for it. The intention is to give it out for scholarships. Do you take in all the funds and then redistribute all of it into scholarships, or does it go, for providing your staff or administrative costs or whatever that might be?
So the funds that we collect for, say we have two events, all the money goes into the foundation account completely. And then the MOU is a dedicated amount. So it's like either $300 or $500 for administrative costs and any event planning that goes on for that event. And that's just straight to the chamber. And we write a check directly to the chamber.
Got it.
So that way we don't end up incurring, workers' comp and employee taxes and all that other stuff.
Sure.
Otherwise, we'd have to set up a whole different, business for the foundation.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. So because you set up the foundation, you now are giving a lot more funding and scholarships to worthy students in your community to pursue their dreams.
Mhm.
And that's what the foundation has helped allow you to do.
Yes.
All right.
And
Well,
we're not, and our scholarships that we, a lot of times you look at the students who are the shining stars, we're not necessarily looking for those students because those students will usually excel in whatever they do. We're looking for the ones that will impact the economy directly for us, our local economy, trades, skills, and the ones that might not go to college but want to go to a vocational school, or are interested in getting a certification in some kind of program that is helpful to some of our businesses here.
yeah, no, that's awesome. So, okay, that brings me up to a question then. So, how do you choose who gets these scholarships?
We have an online application. It's super simple, and we ask what their plan is for their future, for higher education, and then what it means to them, by either working with the Chamber of Commerce or volunteering for a chamber member. So our criteria is very simple. They had to have had some type of interaction with the chamber member or the Chamber of Commerce.
All right. Okay, well, sounds wonderful, but thank you for sharing that with me. I'm looking forward to our panel presentation on, I can't remember what day, Monday or Tuesday next week. So that'll be fun. So looking forward to working on that with you, and thank you for chatting with me today.
Thank you, Zeb. Good seeing you.
Good to see you too. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, before you go, I just wanted to say thank you. Last year, you presented an award to me at the WACE conference, which was the Rusty Hammer Award.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to thank you for doing that, and it was a very big honor for myself. So thank you for being the one who gave it to me last year.
Oh, very well deserved.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.